How to Set Boundaries for Teenagers That Work by Brian McLear. So why set boundaries at all? Today's teenagers are a mixed bunch of individuals. They live in a world of marketing where they are constantly bombarded with advertising and mixed messages from multiple sources. They are always thinking about how best to fit in and be accepted by their peers. Young people today seem to be smarter, more aware, and more outgoing than any other generation of youth before them. This can cause difficulties for parents, teachers, and youth professionals as they deal with teenagers who like to challenge authority and society's norm. Parents are under a lot of pressure as they raise their teenagers. They don't want their child to stray from the path or get mixed up with the wrong sort. Parents are also concerned about the decisions that their teen can make, and they hope these choices won't have a negative or long-lasting effect as their teen makes the transition from adolescent to young adult. Teenagers are expensive too, always wanting the newest, coolest, and best of everything without realizing that money doesn't grow on trees. Teachers play an integral part in the growth and development of teenagers, and it is becoming more apparent that professional educators can not just expect to be in the room. As they deliver their content to the class, teachers would benefit from helping their students deal with adolescent issues and incorporate some life skills into their curriculum. Of course, teenagers are challenged by large classroom numbers, limited time, and implications and practices bestowed upon them by the school they work for, as well as the education system. But how much more beneficial would it be for a teacher to effectively deal with a student causing a disruption or challenging their authority then and there, instead of kicking them out of the class? Teachers being able to effectively manage a student's challenging behaviour could potentially lead to an increase in class participation, minimising a lack of attendance and school dropouts. Following on from this topic, there are certain professionals who are better equipped and prepared to work with young people in this fashion, and they are youth workers, counsellors, or mentors. Typically, youth workers assist young people who are either disadvantaged or disengaged in some way, as previous supports have failed. Youth workers assist young people who can present with just one or many complex issues, such as mental health problems, alcohol and drug use, homelessness, or offending behaviours. Youth workers can be the most influential adult in a teenager's life, steering them in the right way, listening to them, and acting as a positive role model in their development. Being a clear communicator, following through on what you say and do, and understanding how young people think and act is integral to being an effective youth work professional. This might sound strange, but teenagers actually want boundaries. Why? Well, the teenage years are probably the most tumultuous, confusing, and personally stressful years an individual will face. Teenagers go through many changes. Physically, emotionally, and mentally, they are moving through a major transition phase in their life. Learning who they are, what they like, where they fit in, and how they perceive the world around them are their main focus. So when boundaries are in place, they give teenagers the limits, the restrictions, and the rules they need to govern their choices. That's why when a boundary is put in place, a teenager will test it, comparing to their own personal journey and thinking to themselves, will this boundary work for me or against me? Have you ever seen what happens to a teenager when there are absolutely no boundaries or limitations set in place? The outcome is not good. If they are born into an environment where boundaries are not in place, the short-term effects can lead to them becoming a problem child. They don't know how to share, mix with, or socialise amongst other children their age. This can carry on through their development, resulting in a young person turning towards the wrong crowd, offending behaviour, or constantly challenging authority. The long-term effects of these behaviours can create an adult who goes on to have a difficult and dramatic lifestyle. They will struggle in most areas of their life and experience an inability to create or maintain long-term and positive relationships, unemployment, substance abuse, criminal behaviour, or even imprisonment. And of course, there are even worse outcomes than that, which you can let your imagination determine for you. The flip side to this is the quality of life an adult can experience as a direct result of having firm but fair boundaries in their younger years. As we become adults, we have more of a grasp on who we are and our purpose, and being successful in all areas of our life becomes important to us. However, this does not happen on its own. It significantly comes down to how we were brought up. An adolescent will make a more successful transition into an independent adult if the environment they grew up in was nurturing and encouraging. This type of environment can empower a teen to be comfortable and confident in making their own decisions, and if they are supported to follow through on those decisions, they will make more decisions and lean towards positive choices in life. Thinking of the teenager in your life, whether they be your own child, a student, or a client, consider what you know about the way they think, behave, and act. When you consider that, how do you see them making the transition from young person to adult? If there were no boundaries in place, how would you see their life turning out? Consider this video as an overview on the diverse subject of how to set boundaries for teenagers. The Facebook page you have been invited to will provide you with strategies and ideas that you can implement in your own way. As you read through the tips and ideas that are posted, think of the ways that you have set boundaries in the past, reflecting on which ones worked and which ones didn't. Why didn't they work? Was it the way that your teen responded? Was it the way that you set the boundary? Did you enforce the boundary or just give up? Also consider which strategies you haven't tried implementing before and ask yourself why you haven't. Did they seem too unfair, too easy, or too unrealistic? What resources, advice, and skills would you need to use those strategies in the future? Before you set out in a new way to set boundaries for your teen, keep in mind the golden rule. Be flexible. You are not a drill sergeant, your teenagers are not prisoners, and you don't want to become your teen's enemy. If you don't approach setting boundaries with a flexible attitude, willing to compromise and try different things, your teen is likely to perceive you as the brick wall parent or adult. Seeing their life with you is like being a prisoner. If you take on the brick wall approach to protect and raise your teenager, you can ultimately create more distance between them and yourself. So remember to be flexible and open-minded, setting your boundaries from a place of caring and nurturing. There is great value in setting boundaries. They create limits, they set your expectations, they encourage safety, they promote fairness, and they lead to understanding and agreement between you and your teen. Whether you're setting boundaries or not, you are having a major impact on your teenager's life through what you do or don't say. In what way do you want to influence their life's journey? For your free copy of the ebook, How to Set Boundaries for Teenagers That Work, send an email to Brian at magnificentpurpose.com.